Good afternoon, everyone. It is Bridget here from Bridget's Healthy Kitchen, coming to you live from, well, Sydney Harbour is behind me, and we are enjoying the most spectacular day here in Sydney today. Another wonderful day. Thank you for joining me on this live cooking class. I'll be teaching you guys a pretty fabulous wee recipe, something that reminds me of traveling. So it's good for all of us who currently are unable to travel. I like to travel through my taste buds. So today we are doing, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make the most delicious hawker style chicken satay skewers. So for anyone who's ever had the most wonderful, aromatic, delicious chicken skewer, we're going to be making those today. And as well as that, I thought I would also teach you guys how to make the peanut sauce, the traditional peanut sauce to go along with these amazing chicken skewers. So it's very exciting. I'm excited for lunch, most definitely, but I'm also just excited to be sharing this fabulous recipe with you in the Malaysian style with the peanut sauce. But of course, if you don't want to use peanuts, you can use other nuts. And if you don't want to use chicken, you could also use beef as well. So there's a few variations that you can throw onto there, but it is a fabulous dish no matter what you choose, what nut you choose to put in your sauce, and also what meat you choose to put on your skewer. So fabulous recipe. I think it's time we get into it. So I'd like to join you. I'd like you to join me down here on my table today. So come on down, and we're going to get into it. Now, as I was saying, I'm going to be actually teaching you guys how to make a couple of different recipes in this. The first one, of course, we're talking about the chicken skewers, but the one that I'm going to be teaching you guys first, just so we can get it cooking along, is we're actually going to start with the sauce. So when it comes to the sauce, pretty simple to make. Pretty easy stuff actually. So when it comes to the sauce, you know me, I like to work straight into my little food processor because it always makes things so much easier. And even though there is quite a few different ingredients in here, chances are you're gonna have the stuff in your pantry anyway. It's one of those recipes. I introduced you guys to tamarind the other day, which was that big piece of block of sour fruit that you can buy very readily in a good Asian supermarket. So what I have in here first we're creating the spice paste for the sauce is I have 2 heaped tablespoons of tamarind, which I've put into half a cup, which is about 120 mils of hot water. Now you let that sit in there for a good 20 minutes because you want it to soften up, because the next thing that we're going to do, and it can be a little bit unusual, gloves are definitely a good option for you today. If you are deciding to make this recipe, I would definitely suggest that you have a few gloves at your disposal because things can get a little bit messy. So when it comes to the tamarind, after it's soaked for 20 minutes, what you want to do is then just begin to take this type of action here and give it a bit of a squeeze. And what's happening now is we are creating a lovely tamarind paste, which is what we want. So this is tamarind pulp, but if you give it a bit of a squeeze, you can see that the water, the liquid in there is going everywhere, but it's also helping to create what is going to become the base of our sauce. So I'm just going to leave that off to the side just for a second, and we're going to work on putting the spice paste together. So for the spice paste, I'm going to be putting into my little food processor here. I have some chilies. Once again, you add as many chilies as you want or not. As always, it's up to you. In the recipe, I've got 1 to 4 tablespoons of dried chili flakes, but I'll completely leave that up to you. And what I have done is just covered them in a little bit of hot water. So I've got enough hot water in there to cover. That's all going to go into my little food processor. The next ingredient that we want to think about, we're going to start adding flavors now. And of course, how else do we add flavors? I've got my lovely ginger here, which is going to go in. Do I have a tablespoon? No, I don't. Mahi, would you? Actually, I think I can get away with it. I'll attempt. So we're going to go with 1 heaped tablespoon of ginger is going to go in there. 1 heaped. If you love your ginger, go for it. 1 heaped tablespoon of garlic is going to go in there as well. So 1 heaped tablespoon of garlic. Remember, this is the spice paste that we are creating for our dish. So I like to make everything in here, saves on the chopping, which is really, really nice. As well as that, we're going to I'm taking a really small piece of onion then. So it's like half a small onion. Roughly chop it. And then that is going to go into our machine as well. And then we're going to also think about adding in some fabulous lemongrass. So I have some lemongrass here. And with the lemongrass, you just want to use the white parts only. So the top parts of the lemongrass, it is suggested that you don't put those in because they can be very, very fibrous. So you just want to use the white parts of the lemongrass. And for the lemongrass, I actually use frozen lemongrass because it's way cheaper. I'm just going to add a little bit more. I've got a little bit more here. Just going to sneak a little bit more in. So just give that a bit of a chop through. You need 1 stalk of lemongrass. That goes in. And then we're also going to put in, just to give it that lemongrass boost, and this is optional for you guys, I've actually got lemongrass powder here, which I like as well. So I'm putting in a tablespoon of lemongrass powder. But look, if you can get some really nice fresh lemongrass, just add another stalk in there, and it will just help with the flavor profile of your sauce. Where do I get the lemongrass powder? I get it from my Asian supermarket as well. Very, very common in their spice aisles, you can find lemongrass powder. Okay, so once we've done that, the last one is going to be a little bit of coriander powder. This one you can get in the supermarket, but of course, you can also purchase it in your wonderful Asian supermarket. We're going to do a tablespoon of the coriander powder. And then it's just a matter of giving everything a little bit of a blitz with our food processor. Check as well. And you want to do it till it's pretty smooth. That's what you're kind of looking for. You're looking for a bit of smoothness when it comes to this. That definitely helps. And you're kind of left with that sort of paste there. So you can kind of tell that you've got, you know, your chilies and stuff in there. I've got a few whole pieces of chilies. If you want to use dried chili flakes, I use pieces of chilies. You'll get that a lot finer as well. So once we're at that point, what we then need to do is grab ourselves a wok or a pot or a saucepan, because we're going to start to cook that paste off. Because remember as we did the last class and we were doing for our curry, the importance now that you've made your spice paste, the really important next step is that we need to give it some heat, because it's when we give it heat we're actually going to be helping those spice flavors to bloom and to improve. So I'm going to be adding a little bit of, I've got this on medium by the way, medium heat. I'm going to be adding into here about 60 mils of avocado oil, I suggest, or olive oil. You don't really want to use coconut oil on this one because it will harden if you allow the sauce to cool down. So I would go for more of a liquid healthy fat, which would be our avocado oil or our olive oil as well. So 60 mils goes in there, and then we're going to take that wonderful spice paste and put it straight in to our frying pan and allow that time now. This is a good time when things start to smell really good, taste even better, is we're going to allow the spice paste that time now to start to flavor and bloom and expand with all those aromatics, which is just so incredibly important. So we want to do this. In essence, you want to be doing this sort of little bit of stir frying, not too much. You don't have to stand there the whole time and stir fry, but a little bit of stir frying definitely helps, keeping an eye on it. And you want to give the spice paste about 5 minutes on medium heat. Now keep an eye on it, you don't want it to burn. On medium heat, and what you're looking for as the spice paste is cooking away here on this medium heat is you're looking for that color change. Remember we spoke about color change in the last cooking class as well. The color change of the spice paste also helps to indicate that you have bloomed those flavors. But the best way to tell, honestly, is your kitchen, or if you're like me, your outdoor area will start to smell really, really fragrant and really, really good. And if you stand too close, like I am, you might get chili stuck in your throat as well. I've got to be careful of that. So you're after about 5 minutes of the spice paste doing its thing, but you know, I'm not going to make you guys wait for 5 minutes. I'm going to move on to the next step. And the next step is we need to add some sweetness, because this sauce is a sweet and spicy peanut sauce. So I'm going to be adding in fiber syrup into this lovely frying pan here. And we're going to be adding in 3 tablespoons of fiber syrup, because we want it to be lovely and balanced. Now I'm adding it into the spice blend, because what's going to happen is this is also going to assist with the color change, and that fiber syrup will actually start to caramelize, and we'll get the most delicious flavor from our peanut sauce, thanks to that fiber syrup also caramelizing as well on the heat. So once we're at that point, we've got our fiber syrup working really nice. I always like to add in a bit of sticky sauce. A couple tablespoons of sticky sauce goes in. That's going to help with color, that's going to help with flavor, it's going to give it a little bit of a salty kick too, which is what we want. The beauty about Southeast Asian cuisine is just how balanced all the flavors are. So right now we are developing a very delicious, very well flavored sauce. So now that that's there, remember our tamarind, what we did to it before. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to add in all that liquid from the tamarind, all going in there, but not the pulp. I'm actually going to discard the pulp. What I really want, because I don't want it to be too sour, what I really want is that wonderful liquid. And as you can see, everything's starting to color up nicely, everything's starting to do its little thing. I know it's exciting. Oh, I'm excited. All right, but you're like, where's the nuts, Bridge? Here they are. These are, I bought blanched peanuts, just plain, skins off of course, and then I roasted them in the oven at 190 degrees, which is 390 degrees Fahrenheit, and I roasted them in the oven for about 15 minutes, dry roasted them, and then I just added a little bit of salt. But you can obviously buy ready salted peanuts, but I'm always a little bit concerned about the salt content when it's ready salted, hence why I like to do my own. But feel free to buy ready salted, peeled of course, dry roasted peanuts. You've got 120 grams. Sorry, not that much. That was something else. Oh, that was the next recipe. With the peanuts, you have 150 grams, which is 5.2 ounces. That is now going to go straight into our sauce, and making sure that it's not bubbling too high. You want it to just be ticking over here. Get it all in, don't waste any. Give it a bit of a stir. And now you basically are going to be observing the sauce at this point. And you're going to be deciding whether you think it's a bit thick, because it needs to be a little bit runny. And if you think it's a little bit thick, which mine is, that's when I take up some water, just plain filtered water, and you're going to probably add between 150 to 200 mils of water to actually create your sauce. So now that we're at this stage, I'm just going to pop that onto the barbecue and let it tick away, because that's all we need to do now, is literally just let it tick away. It takes about 15 minutes from this point before I'm going to have a bit of a taste to see if it's ready. Hence why I did the sauce first, because I wanted it to tick away and go into the barbie and do its thing for us. I still need to make the marinade for the chicken. And yes, as I was saying, we're doing chicken satay today, so I do still need to make the marinade. And when it comes to this marinade, once again, why don't we just make everything in here? I know it's still got the stuff from the satay, but that's fine. We can just, because it's all going to end up on one plate, so I'm not even going to bother to wash that. I'm just going to move on from here. So we're going to start with our marinade for our chicken. Is we're going to start with a couple tablespoons once again of avocado oil or olive oil. Again, if you're going to be using coconut oil and you chill these skewers down, it's going to go quite hard. So we're going to avoid coconut oil in this recipe. So we got that in. We're also going to add in a tablespoon of sticky sauce. It's going to help with the color. Look, I've nearly run out. I've almost done. Oh, might as well all in. Let's go all in. It's done. Put that over there. It needs to be clean. So sticky sauce is in there. We're also going to, just like the last time, lemongrass, and you can see where these flavors are coming back. So you know, it's even though we're using very similar flavors, you will notice that there is a very distinct flavor difference when it comes to the marinade for the chicken, as well as the sauce for the chicken. It's quite fabulous. So that then goes in there. We also want to go back, see, here we go, same thing, another half of a small red onion, chop that all up, and it may sound like a really odd marinade, but trust me, it is phenomenal. So we got that in there. What else? Of course, yes. Let's go with some ginger and some garlic. I've lost my teaspoon. Oh, there it is. Some ginger and garlic. Once again, we're going to go with a heaped tablespoon of our garlic, and we're going to go with a heaped tablespoon of our ginger as well. I love ginger in this. You can really taste it, as well as that amazing lemongrass. You can really, really taste it. So once those are in there, we're going to think about those wonderful spices again, like in the sauce, and we're going to be adding in all the coriander she has left. There should be 2 teaspoons of coriander powder, or half a tablespoon. I reckon that's about right. Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. Yeah, I'm happy with that. We're also going to add in a little bit of salt. About a teaspoon of our mineral salt is going to go in as well. And of course, for a little bit of sweetness and balance, we're going to be adding in 2 tablespoons of fiber syrup or thereabouts. And then we're going to give it a bit of a blend. Now, normally at this point, I would consider adding turmeric, but I'm very conscious of my little machine going bright yellow from turmeric, so I'm going to actually add it later. So we're just going to blend this up. Very good. It's looking pretty thick, but that is perfect. As you can see, it's looking pretty thick. That's exactly what we want. And once we're at that point, literally, it's time for chicken. So in my bowl here, well, this marinade will give you enough marinade to do 1 kilo, which is 2.2 pounds of chicken. And I'm using chicken thigh. And what I have done, as you guys can see, is I've chopped it up into sort of very small chunks, very small pieces of chicken. So you don't want them too big, and you definitely want to, when it's time to chop up your chicken thigh, and I suggest chicken thigh because it's got a little bit of fat there, so it really helps to caramelize the chicken as the skewers are cooking. And this is obviously good fat for us as well. So I am using chicken thigh, got more flavor, cut it up nice and small, and for all the ingredients that I've given you today, you will make 1 kilo of chicken skewers, which is around about 25 to 30 skewers is what you're going to get off that 1 kilo of chicken. So once that's in there, remember I talked about turmeric, that I don't like to add it in my little plastic thing because it might stain. I don't want to test the theory, I've decided, so I'm not going to do that. All right, when it comes to turmeric, I add it straight into the chicken. I'm going to do 2 teaspoons, kind of heap too, you know, because it's going to help to give it a really fabulous color. Of our turmeric goes in there. And then we add all of that marinade that we've just made goes in there as well. All of the marinade. And back to my absolute suggestion. This is the option to not use gloves here is not a great idea. You definitely want to use your gloves. So you want to make sure the gloves are big enough for a start and your hands are dry, because that always makes it easier to put gloves on. But it's just, you know, turmeric stains so badly, and I have many stories of being stained with turmeric. Sometimes it was my fault, other times it was not my fault. Another story to share for another time. So just using your hands, this is the best way just to get into it and give it a little bit of a squish through, and make sure all that marinade is completely covered with your chicken. Other way around. All your chicken is completely covered with your marinade, because you want to make sure everything is really, really, really well flavored. Hence why it's ideal to cut the chicken up into chunks as opposed to, you know, cutting it into really big pieces, because this way you're going to get more flavor, because the reason you're getting more flavor is you have more surface area for the marinade to get in between. So ideally, you now leave that to marinate for around about 4 hours. I actually like to leave mine to marinate overnight. That is my ideal scenario, is overnight. I do find that the next day the skewers just taste that much better. So I've got some here that I'm going to show you that I made last night. This looks exactly the same, I know, but the flavor difference is quite phenomenal between, you know, having the chicken and cooking it straight away, or leaving it just overnight, just to marinate so well. So I'm going to show you guys a little trick on how to skewer, because skewering is another really important process. And if you want your skewers to not burn, especially if you're doing these on the barbecue, but you can do them in a pan, of course you can. You can even do them in your air fryer, which is even smarter, because you won't have burnt skewers. But if you are deciding to put it onto a barbecue, you definitely want to do this. You want to soak your skewers. Remember, you get about 25 to 30 skewers out of 1 kilo. You want to soak your skewers in cold water for at least 2 hours. So while you're preparing everything and you're heating up the barbecue, make sure that your skewers are already soaking. Really, really important. So I'll show you guys how to skewer. I'm sure you all know how to skewer, but the best way to do it is to grab a couple of pieces. This is just for speed as well, and just kind of guide them on, as opposed to doing one piece at a time. And you're looking at around about 40 grams, which is about 1.4 ounces of chicken per skewer. Seems to be a really good skewer length, because then you get more, which is what I really like. So you're kind of after something along those lines, and give it a bit of a squeeze like that. Bit of a squeeze. I'll show you one more. Even though I'm doing it, I've just realized I'm doing it with my wrong hand. But that's okay. I don't want to touch. Don't want to touch this turmeric. I've already decided it's not going to happen. Not going to happen today. I do not want yellow fingers today or yellow nails. As much as I love turmeric, I'm not so fond of it when it's in places it shouldn't be, like under my nails and stuff. So this is a really, like I said, this is not an option when it comes to skewering, and it does take time. This is probably the most painful part. So this is when you phone a friend. This is when you are able to recruit people in the family to help you to do all your skewers. So of course, I prepared some earlier so I wouldn't have to stand here and skewer the whole day. So here's some I prepared earlier. Looking very uniform, as you may notice. They are looking amazingly uniform. I'm going to put those on there. And yes, those skewers had been soaked, but they've actually been skewered for a little bit of time now. So I'm mildly concerned that we are going to get a little bit of burnt skewer. We'll do our best. That's all we can ask, isn't it? That we do our best. All right, so let's go over to the barbecue. Would you like to join me over at the barbecue? Come on over here. It is looking pretty fabulous, I have to say. Now I just have to make sure that you can see the barbecue. Can you see the barbecue? This is the question. I don't know, I can't see you. I'm hoping, can you? Yeah, you can. No, you can see the barbecue. So the first thing that you may notice over here is that I do have our sauce, remember, ticking away. Look, I can't. Ooh, there's not much room. Can you see? Our sauce is ticking away there so nicely. And the color, even though I didn't cook the spice paste quite as long as what I should have, the color is looking really good, and that's what I'm looking for. It's a very deep peanut sauce color. You know, some of the other peanut sauces that I've taught you guys how to make are very light colored, whereas this nut sauce is a very dark colored nut sauce. Remember, you can use almonds, you can use walnuts. I'm not sure about walnuts, but definitely if you don't want to use peanuts, you can use other nuts as well. I might just stay away from walnuts, so I'm just thinking there's a flavor there that may not work with this sauce, but you could use cashew nuts as well. You could even try it. Why not try it with some sunflower seeds? There's a few little options that you've got there, but obviously the peanut is the traditional way. So my barbecue's been on for some time, and it's definitely helpful that you do this in a hot pan, a hot air fryer. You probably need to set the air fryer on like 200 degrees if you're doing an air fryer. So you want to do a hot pan, a hot air fryer, and a hot barbecue, most definitely. So I've got my little coconut oil spray. Remember, any type of oil that you put on a really hot surface, you need to make sure it's heat stable, and that's our coconut oil. It can heat up to really high temperature without it burning or going rancid. So my choice for barbecuing is always coconut oil or avocado oil. So I'm just going to spray just a little bit, not too much, the tops of our skewers. I might actually spray this too. Watch for the flame. Just so it's non-stick a little bit. And then we're going to pop those skewers on. How are we going to do this? There we go. Going to pop those skewers on. And we're going to hope that we don't burn the bamboo. Because then that'll be hilarious, wouldn't it? I know, that'll be funny as, but we can only do our best, as I was saying. So our barbecue is steaming. I can tell that because my face is going red, so I know that it's definitely nice and hot, which is exactly what we want. I've got my, I love barbecue because it always means you have to be that little bit more prepared. You know, because once things go on, you don't have time to run and open the cupboard in the kitchen. So I have my plate to serve ready to go. And of course, when it comes to this, already I can smell bamboo. I'm like, hey, I should be smelling chicken skewers. And that's the thing, you know, when you are, if you've ever been into a market that sells these, and what they do is they set them up on lovely charcoal fires, so it's all done out of charcoal. And you just have rows and rows and rows and rows of these most amazing skewers. And of course, the first thing that's always going to hit you is the smell, right? Because you're walking through a market and you're like, okay, all right, nose, take me where I need to go. Take me where I need to go. And I'm feeling a little bit like this when it comes to these skewers already. The smell is fantastic. And they are already looking really, really good. So I'm just going to pull them off down here. As I was saying, I don't want my skewers to burn, and already they are looking a little bit brown. So it definitely pays, oh, we've lost one already. It definitely pays to keep an eye on them, on your skewers, the ends of your skewers, depending on whether you're in a barbecue. Obviously, if you're in an air fryer, don't worry about it. And also, if you're using a pan, don't worry about soaking your skewers either. But definitely give them a bit of a soak if they're going on the barbecue. Otherwise, that will happen. Or use metal skewers. Not quite the same though, isn't it? And you know what? The smell of the bamboo burning is really quite nice. Oh, I love it. Alright, so keep on turning them. That is another trick when it comes to these skewers. Just keep on turning, because obviously, you know, you want to get it fully cooked all the way through. That is really, really important as well. So keep on turning as they're going, keeping a bit of an eye on them, but they're probably going to take, for those sort of size that you saw of the chicken, you're probably looking at a total cook time of around about 3 to 5 minutes, obviously depending on how hot your barbecue is, how hot your air fryer is, but I suggest around about the 200 degrees Celsius, which is 390 Fahrenheit mark. And it's also going to depend on how big you cut your chicken. So those are the factors that you're playing with. So hence why I say you're looking at, you know, between 3 to 5 minutes of even cooking time. One of them's already looking like it's nearly ready, which is very exciting. So when it comes to sauce, I'm just going to leave them there for a little bit. I want to let you guys finish off with this sauce. I've got this really cute little dish that we're going to put the sauce in. And I think I bought a big spoon. I did. I was a little bit organised with that. I'm not going to pull you down here because I'm just going to, all I'm doing is putting sauce into our little container. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? In my rush, to eat the sauce. I didn't taste it. Alright, here we go. I forgot about that. Bit of salt. Bit of a stir. This is the fun part, I know, right? And it is a really thick sauce. That is the thing about this peanut sauce. Oh, it's so well balanced. It is delicious. Wow. I'm going to put just a little bit more salt in there. A little bit more. Give it a bit of a mix. And we have a fabulous sauce there to serve with our skewers. Let's go back and see what our skewers are doing. Hopefully we don't have any more burnt ones, but if we do, we are versatile enough to make things happen. Alright, looking good. The barbecue's obviously quite a lot more hotter on this side than it is on that side, which is fine barbecue. I understand. You have your hot spots and you have your cold spots. But what you currently do have is I have about 4 skewers ready. So I'm going to take, oh, that one's a nice one. I'm going to take the burnt one off. First and foremost. I'm also going to take that one off. It's looking really good. Everything's looking really good. And I've got hungry vultures just waiting for this to be finished. Sitting in front of me now, not naming any names. And no, it's not the cats today. It's it's not the cats. They only like raw chicken, they don't like it cooked. So here we go. Squeezing through. This is, as you can see, our fabulous marinated, remember overnight, I did this overnight, marinated chicken. It smells just incredible. And it is going to be served, of course, with our fabulous peanut sauce, our absolutely fabulous peanut sauce. And the best way to do this, is probably going to burn me, but I'm going to take a hit for the team, is you want to dip in and you want to get some of that peanut sauce right on the end there. That's really, really important. Perfectly cooked, right through and through. Oh, delicious. Absolutely. I'm pretty happy right now. It's really good. Not too spicy, so remember, depending on where you are at with your spices, either go up or down the scale, depending where you are. For me, this is quite nice. I think our son would also approve of the level of spice as well. But you know what's really sensational with this dish is this is just an absolute, this is for me is a standout. I could literally eat that without the sauce quite happily. The sauce is wonderful though, and if you wanted to, you know, you can serve this just with, you know, grab yourself up a cucumber, chop it up into chunks, grab yourself up some red onion, chop that up into chunks as well. That is the very traditional way to serve these types of chicken satay skewers, with our wonderful peanut sauce, and then some little cucumber, which you can imagine is a lovely crunch, and a bit of red onion on the side. And you go in and you skewer the cucumber and you skewer the red onion to have alongside your amazing skewers. So I hope you all enjoyed that, or this wonderful cooking class. I'm checking the back, I can hear them sizzling. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I have enjoyed bringing it to you. We do have another class just to round out our Malaysian week this week here in Bridget's Healthy Kitchen, and tomorrow I hope you can join me, because we're going to be cooking up a bit of a treat. I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make sweet potato donuts. Yeah, I know, sugar-free, gluten-free, dairy-free, of course. It's a very exciting cooking class to wind out our week. Until that time, I've got some chicken skewers to cook, because I have some hungry people in front of me. I hope that you either make the recipe, don't forget, I'll release it tomorrow and you can download it for yourself. I hope you make the recipe and also you enjoy. So thank you very much for joining me today here on the balcony. Remember, join me on YouTube, Bridget's Healthy Kitchen. You can subscribe on also Instagram. I'm on Pinterest, Bridget's Healthy Kitchen, and of course right here on Facebook as well. Anyway guys, take care, have a fabulous day, and we'll talk to you really, really soon. Bye guys.